Greetings, I'm Mary, aged 41. Reflecting on the past feels like a journey to a different era, one where the allure of love and promises of eternity blinded me to the true nature of the man I married. Frank. At 23, I was a young woman swept up in a whirlwind romance, oblivious to the monster beneath his charming facade. Completely captivated by Frank, I believed every word from his honeyed lips. He had a skill for drawing me in, making me feel like the most important person. However, as time passed, cracks appeared, revealing a toxic undercurrent that threatened our relationship. Frank mastered emotional manipulation, twisting my words and actions against me, leaving me second-guessing myself. Despite his behavior, I excused it, convinced that love could heal all wounds. But love, as I learned, cannot fix the irreparable. The realization of Frank's maliciousness came too late. He executed a cunning plan to deceive me, wrongfully securing his name on the title deed of my beloved house, my sanctuary, symbolizing independence and hard-earned success. It all began innocently, with Frank proposing joint ownership, a suggestion I, blinded by love, naively accepted. Unbeknownst to me, he manipulated legal documents using my trust as a weapon to control my property. The day I discovered his deceit was a cruel twist of fate, unraveling the web of lies. Delving into legal intricacies, I uncovered the cold truth. My house, once a haven, was no longer solely mine but his. The foundation beneath me shattered, leaving me suspended in a void of astonishment and betrayal. I recall confronting the beast, my heart racing within my chest. Summoning every ounce of courage, I confronted him about his deceitful nature. The air crackled with tension as our gazes locked, his eyes void of remorse. "How could you do this to me, Frank? How could you betray the love we once shared?" Frank smirked, a cruel twist of his lips sending shivers down my spine. "Oh, Mary, you were always so naive, so gullible. Did you honestly believe I loved you? You were nothing more than a toy to me, a plaything to amuse myself with." His words cut through me like a blade, leaving me stunned and wounded. The depth of his callousness was unfathomable. I remember facing the beast, my heart pounding in my chest. Mustering every bit of courage, I confronted him regarding his deceitful nature. The atmosphere crackled with tension as our eyes met, his gaze void of remorse. "Why would you do this to me, Frank? How could you betray the love we once had?" Frank smirked, a cruel curl of his lips sending shivers down my spine. "Oh, Mary, you were always so innocent, so easily fooled. Did you think I loved you? You were nothing more than a plaything to me, a source of amusement." His words sliced through me like a blade, leaving me shocked and hurt. The extent of his heartlessness was beyond comprehension. "How can you say that? I dedicated myself to you, stood by you through thick and thin, and this is how you repay me." Frank's smirk widened, his eyes glinting with a perverse satisfaction. "You were just a means to an end, Mary, a stepping stone on my journey to personal gain. Taking this house from you was just a small sample of the power I could truly wield over you." His words lingered in the air, dripping with arrogance and disdain. I grappled with containing the surge of anger bubbling within me. The revelation shook me to my core. How could I have been so oblivious, allowing myself to be entangled in this intricate web of deceit? Following Frank's heartless confession, my heart shattered into even smaller fragments. As if his betrayal weren't enough, he added insult to injury by announcing his desire for a divorce. The very foundation of my world crumbled beneath me, and I struggled to catch my breath amidst the devastation. In a moment of folly, I began to plead with him. "Frank, please, we can work through this. Let's mend whatever is broken between us. I still love you, despite everything. We can't go through with the divorce." My voice quivered with desperation, my mind clouded by the manipulation and hypnotic hold he maintained over me. Unable to imagine a life without him, even amid the toxic web he had spun around us, I found Frank unwavering. His eyes lacked any trace of compassion as he declared, "Enough, Mary. I've grown tired of this pretense. You mean nothing to me anymore. It's time for you to face the repercussions of your naivety and foolishness." His heartless rejection added another layer of devastation to my already crushed spirit. Once my confidant and partner, the person I believed in had transformed into a heartless stranger. Despite our vows to be there for each other, for better or for worse, Frank abandoned me. I pleaded with him to listen, attempting to mend the shattered pieces of my heart. Frank's face twisted into a mocking sneer, his words dripping with disdain as he dismissed our vows, stating they meant nothing to him. According to him, I was merely a pawn in his game, and he reveled in using and manipulating my emotions. The truth hit me like a tidal wave, stripping away the last remnants of denial. I had been blind to the true nature of the man I thought I loved, merely a puppet in his calculated scheme. After the divorce was finalized, my journey towards healing began. The wounds inflicted by Frank's manipulation and abuse ran deep, requiring an extensive period to regain my sense of self and rebuild the shattered pieces of my life. Seeking solace in therapy, I confronted the trauma I had endured, gradually reclaiming my inner strength. Yet one battle remained unresolved, the fight for my stolen house. Facing Frank in court filled me with dread, reviving the fear that had plagued me for so long. Despite the sentimental value of the house, I was paralyzed with fear and couldn't bring myself to fight him for it. I opted to rent a modest apartment instead, unwilling to endure the torment of facing him repeatedly to reclaim what was rightfully mine. 15 long years had passed since Frank deceitfully acquired the title deed to my cherished home. During that time, I managed to rebuild my life, creating a new haven filled with love, positivity, and a sense of security. While the scars of my past remained etched into my soul, I chose to move forward, leaving behind the traumatic experiences and focusing on the newfound peace in my life. Yet I had developed a certain resilience, a determination not to allow the shadows of my past to shape my future. Then, on a pivotal day, an unexpected message illuminated my phone screen from Facebook, bearing a name that stirred a complex mix of emotions. Benjamin, my ex-father-in-law. It had been years since any contact, and I pondered what could have prompted him to reach out to me now. Curiosity intertwined with apprehension as I unfolded the message, uncertain of its contents. The words that greeted my eyes carried a blend of remorse and sincerity. Mary, I trust this message reaches you in good health. The weight of guilt has burdened me for far too long, acknowledging the role I played in the injustice inflicted upon you. I deeply apologize for not believing you earlier. Frank's true character has become evident to me, proving that you were telling the truth all along. It was he who was abusive and manipulative, not you. I see that now. I am sincerely sorry for my disbelief. Though the past cannot be altered, I am eager to make amends and seek your forgiveness. Let us meet and catch up. With love, Benjamin. A surge of conflicting emotions overwhelmed me. Doubt, caution, yet a glimmer of hope. Could this be a genuine chance to reconcile? I confess I was more than intrigued by the revelation of what prompted Benjamin to confront his son's behavior. After careful consideration, I agreed to meet with Benjamin, armed with both skepticism and unwavering determination. We arranged to meet in a public place, ensuring my safety and minimizing the risk of falling into a trap set by my abusive ex-husband. As I sat across from Benjamin, the years etched on his face served as a reminder of the time that had passed. He spoke with a voice laden with remorse and regret. Mary, I genuinely apologize for the pain you endured and for my role in it. The truth is, I never intended to see you hurt, but I was weak and allowed Frank's influence to cloud my judgment. He manipulated the situation, exploiting my trust and convincing me that the divorce was entirely my fault. However, after all these years, I couldn't help but think that he was the one at fault all along. I pleaded with you, desperately urging you to believe in my truth. But you remained indifferent, Mary, my dear. He's my son, and I, foolishly inclined to trust his words over yours, now see the error of my ways. What shifted your perspective? What did Frank do to make you finally see the truth? Let's lay it all out on the table, shall we? I'm no spring chicken, and my time is drawing near. My liver is failing, and the doctors claim there's no remedy. It's been a prolonged struggle, and once Frank learned of my ailment, he seemed eager to plan my funeral. His behavior became increasingly peculiar, fixated solely on the inheritance he anticipated after my demise. It's utterly appalling how callous he can be. Realizing this, my thoughts turned to you, and I began to question if you were the victim all along. Frank managed to convince me that he was a true monster who cared for no one, willing to trample anyone in his path. When I confronted him with my suspicions, expressing my belief in your innocence, he only confirmed my doubts with dismissive and arrogant responses. I now recognize that he was the genuine monster, and I deeply regret not paying attention during the divorce. I apologize for cutting you out of my life without a proper understanding. Is this my attempt to rectify my wrongs? Perhaps, but I'm aware it may seem like a sudden conscience awakening to avoid a grim fate. Mary, I understand if forgiveness is beyond reach after all this time. Nevertheless, I would be grateful if you could share my last moments with me. Apart from Frank, I have no one, and departing this world in the company of a genuine and kind soul would bring me solace. My heart oscillated between the possibility of forgiveness and grappling with the burden of betrayal. Could I entrust this dying man's words? Was he genuinely sincere in his desire to rectify the past? The experience of being married to his son had already been traumatic, and the adage that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree echoed in my mind. How could I believe in the goodness of this man, when his son excelled in deceiving and manipulating others? I needed to contemplate this, so I candidly expressed my reservations, and we subsequently went our separate ways. The news of Benjamin's terminal liver failure brought a mix of sorrow and conflicting emotions. Despite the pain caused by him and his son, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of compassion and empathy for his deteriorating health. The fragility of life had a knack for putting things into perspective. As weeks passed, Benjamin's request lingered in the recesses of my mind, causing turmoil. I found myself torn between the past and the present, forgiveness and self-preservation. Then one day, as I grappled with my decision, the ringing of the phone shattered the silence. It was Benjamin. His frail voice, filled with urgency, pleaded for my presence in the hospital. Time was slipping away, and he wished to apologize in person before departing this world. Despite the weight of his words, I hesitated, but ultimately agreed, acknowledging that acceptance might offer a form of closure and a chance to confront the demons of the past. Entering the sterile, somber corridors of the hospital, my heart raced with anticipation and trepidation. It served as a stark reminder of life's fragility and the fleeting nature of our existence. In Benjamin's hospital room, I encountered a weakened man lying in a bed that seemed too large for his wasted state. Despite looking worse than the last time I saw him, I couldn't help but sympathize. Setting aside my reservations, I reached out to a man who had once been a prominent father figure in my life. "Oh, Benjamin, I'm genuinely sorry to see you in this state. I should have set aside my pride and called sooner. If I had known things had gotten this bad, I would have been here earlier. I'm truly sorry." "No, dear, don't be sorry for me. I've lived a full life. If anyone should apologize, it's me, for my stupid son's behavior." "Dear Mary, I extend my sincere apologies once again. I deeply regret the pain my son caused you, and I also apologize for doubting you, Benjamin. Thank you so much. There's another aspect I seek forgiveness for, my dishonesty. Yes, I didn't just bring you here to offer an apology. Oh, the real reason behind my summons is to convey my decision to pass on my inheritance. Now, I understand your confusion, wondering why I needed you present for this revelation." Just as Benjamin was about to elucidate, our conversation was abruptly interrupted. The door swung open, and Frank stood there, his gaze locking onto mine. Bursting forth with rage, he harshly demanded to know why I was in Benjamin's hospital room. "Mary, what the hell are you doing here?" Benjamin, weakened but resolute, spoke up, indignation trembling in his voice. "Frank, have you no decency? Mary has every right to be here because I say so. It's my deathbed, after all." A torrent of heated words erupted between them, each defending their stance. I berated Frank for his toxic behavior and manipulation, revealing the depths of his cruelty. Frank, arrogant as ever, dismissed Benjamin's words and tried to assert his dominance. Caught in the crossfire, I felt frustration and despair. Attempting to escape the growing turmoil, I rose from my seat. However, Benjamin's voice halted my steps. "Mary, please stay. Believe it or not, this inheritance issue concerns you. You have endured enough, and it's time for me to declare my true intentions and attempt reparations." Reluctantly, I resumed my seat, uneasy about Frank's presence. Yet, I understood that this moment had the potential to bring closure, address the past, and pave the way for a new chapter. With a deep breath, Benjamin began to lay out the details of his inheritance. As his words settled in the air, astonishment washed over me. He revealed that his considerable fortune, nearly 6 figures, was to be bestowed upon me. Dumbfounded, I struggled to grasp the magnitude of his revelation. Benjamin, his voice filled with a mixture of regret and determination, disclosed a secret he had guarded for years, a significant wealth meant for his future grandchildren. However, the dissolution of my marriage to Frank disrupted that plan, creating an emptiness where dreams of a thriving family once flourished. The natural heir would have been Frank Benjamin's son, but upon discovering Frank's true nature, Benjamin couldn't bear the idea of his hard-earned fortune falling into the hands of such a toxic individual. Instead, Benjamin opted to redirect his legacy, placing his complete trust in me. Frank, unable to contain his fury and sense of entitlement, erupted in a fit of rage. His voice echoed through the hospital room as he vehemently decried the injustice, passionately asserting his claim to the fortune he believed should rightfully be his. "This is outrageous. All that money should be mine. I deserve it." Remaining calm, my gaze fixed on Benjamin, I acknowledged the weight of his decision. This inheritance wasn't just about financial gain. It was a testament to his belief in my truth, strength, and resilience. It was an acknowledgement of the pain and suffering I had endured, and the steps I had taken to rebuild my life. With a steady and resolute voice, Benjamin responded to Frank's outburst. "Frank, you have shown time and again that you are not worthy of this inheritance. It was meant to be passed on to future generations, but your toxic behavior has forever severed that possibility. After all these years and analyzing your disgusting character, I believe in Mary. She has proven herself to be a person of integrity and compassion, despite the hell you put her through. It is she who shall carry the torch of my legacy, and that is final." I just wanted both of you to hear it from me. The room fell into an uneasy silence, the weight of Benjamin's words hanging in the air. The truth of his decision and the implications settled upon us, each grappling with its significance. For me, it was an unexpected turn of events, a validation of the strength I had found within myself, but more than that, it was a newfound sense of security, a chance to reclaim what was stolen from me and forge a brighter future. As for Frank, his screams of protest fell upon deaf ears. The world, in its relentless justice, refused to bow to his desires. The realization that his toxic actions had severed him from the very legacy he believed was his birthright seemed to dawn upon him, if only for a fleeting moment. Not long after this entire situation, Benjamin passed away, leaving us in a truly devastating state. Every day, I deeply yearned for his presence, surrounded by the hum of passing cars marking the conclusion of this tumultuous journey. True to his worth, the entire inheritance he meticulously amassed has rightfully passed on to me, as stipulated in his will. Frank's futile legal battles to claim what he believed was his rightful share proved to be in vain. Benjamin's intentions were steadfast, and his wishes were faithfully executed. Acknowledging the lingering concern posed by Frank, I took proactive measures to ensure my safety and peace of mind. Additional security measures were implemented, forming a shield against any potential harm he might instigate. I refused to let fear dictate my life any longer. As days transform into weeks and weeks into months, the weight of the inheritance settles upon me like a beacon of hope, introducing newfound possibilities. In stark contrast, Frank finds himself grappling with the harsh reality of his actions. The magnitude of what he stole from me pales in comparison to what I ultimately gained. The realization that his manipulations and toxic behavior led him down a path of isolation and despair begins to sink in. Meanwhile, I find solace in the newfound security and freedom bestowed upon me by the inheritance. With my sights set on a brighter future, I plan to relocate and embark on a new chapter in a different state. The shadows of my past will no longer hold me captive, and the echoes of Frank's voice will fade into distant memory. Reflecting on the trials and tribulations endured, a profound sense of gratitude washes over me. The inherited wealth is not merely a means to an end, but a catalyst for transformation, a stepping stone toward realizing my dreams and ambitions. I am no longer defined by the scars of my past, but empowered by the strength discovered within myself. The woman who once hastily married Frank, blinded by love and naivety, has evolved into a formidable force. Rising from the ashes, unyielding in my pursuit of happiness and fulfillment, I am no longer bound by the echoes of the past.